Airports are supposed to be safe. That's what we tell ourselves. They're filled with bright lights, security cameras in every corner, uniformed staff walking back and forth, and thousands of people moving in every direction. It feels controlled, organized, watched. But what people don't realize is that crowds don't always protect you. Sometimes they hide things. Sometimes they make it easier for someone to stand too close, to watch you, to choose you, without anyone noticing. I learned that the night I flew alone for the first time, the night I understood that danger doesn't always wait in dark alleys. Sometimes it waits under fluorescent lights. I was 18 years old, flying to London to visit my grandmother. It was my first international flight, and the first time I had ever traveled completely alone. I kept telling myself I was an adult, that I could handle it. But sitting in Terminal 4 with 3 hours before boarding, I didn't feel independent. I felt small. The airport was massive, stretching endlessly in both directions. People rushed past me confidently while I sat near my gate pretending I wasn't overwhelmed. I wore my headphones so I wouldn't look nervous, but inside my chest, my heart was beating too fast. After about 20 minutes, I realized I needed the restroom. It wasn't urgent at first, but the longer I sat there, the more uncomfortable I became. I stood up and looked around for signs, but somehow none were visible from where I was sitting. The terminal curved in both directions, and the crowd felt thick and confusing. I scanned for someone in uniform, someone official I could ask. That's when I heard a voice beside me. Calm, gentle, almost grandfatherly. "Excuse me, dear. You look a little lost. Can I help you?" I turned and saw an older man, maybe in his early 60s. Thin grey hair, wide-rimmed glasses, a cardigan over a button-up shirt, khakis. He carried a folded newspaper under his arm. He looked like someone who volunteered at libraries, someone's grandfather, the kind of person you would instinctively trust. I told him I was fine at first, that automatic reaction, the polite refusal. But he smiled warmly and asked if it was my first time flying alone. I hesitated, then nodded. I explained that I was just looking for the restroom. He immediately said he was on the same 6:15 flight to London and had noticed my boarding pass. He said he could keep me company so I wouldn't feel lost. That was the first small detail that felt strange. I hadn't shown him my ticket directly. It had just been in my hand. But I ignored the thought. I told myself I was overthinking. He pointed past the food court and said there was a quieter restroom behind a door near a trash bin. "Much nicer than the main ones," he said confidently. Like he'd done this many times, I asked if he was sure. The location seemed strange. A restroom hidden behind a trash can? But he smiled again, calm and reassuring. He even offered to watch my bags while I went. That offer made my stomach tighten slightly. I declined and picked up my carry-on instead. As I walked toward the door, I glanced back. He was still standing there, watching, smiling, not moving. Something about the way he didn't look away stayed with me, but I kept walking anyway. The door opened into a narrow hallway. The lighting changed immediately. The bright airport glow disappeared, replaced by dim fluorescent lights that flickered softly overhead. The walls were scuffed and dirty. The air smelled like dust and old carpet. It didn't look like part of the airport at all. It looked forgotten, quiet, isolated. I hesitated, but I was already inside. The door closed behind me with a soft click that sounded louder than it should have. I walked about 20 feet before the hallway ended. There was only one door, and on it, in clear black letters, it said, "Storage, authorized personnel only." My chest tightened instantly. This wasn't a restroom. This wasn't public. This wasn't right. A cold wave of realization hit me. I turned around slowly, and my breath caught in my throat. He was standing at the entrance to the hallway, blocking the only way out. His smile was still there, but it looked different now. Not warm, not kind, just fixed. He stepped forward slowly, casually, like we were having a normal conversation. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. I told him the sign said storage. He laughed lightly and said he must have been mistaken. But he didn't move aside. Instead, he moved closer. The space felt smaller. The walls felt tighter. I pressed my back against them, gripping my suitcase handle like it could protect me. My phone was in my pocket, but my hands were shaking too badly to grab it. He was only a few steps away when another door suddenly opened behind him. A security guard stepped into the hallway holding a clipboard. The older man froze instantly. His smile disappeared. The guard's voice was firm as he said, "This area was for staff only." The man quickly claimed he had given me the wrong directions, that it was just a mistake. But I knew it wasn't. The guard escorted him back to the main terminal and walked me safely to my gate. I never saw that man again. He wasn't on my flight. He had lied about that too. And for 7 hours on that plane, I didn't sleep. I just kept thinking about how close I had come to stepping somewhere no one would have heard me. You lock your doors at night because you believe that once you're inside, you're safe. Home is supposed to be the one place no stranger can reach you. But what if someone doesn't need to break in? What if they already have a way inside, and you just don't know it yet? The night we flew home from Phoenix, I thought the worst part of traveling was the exhaustion. I had no idea the real nightmare had followed us off the plane. It was close to midnight when our flight landed. My sister Lucy and I were exhausted. The airport was mostly quiet, except for baggage claim, where 3 flights had arrived at once. People crowded around the carousel, tired and impatient. That's when a man in a blue hoodie suddenly bumped hard into Lucy. It wasn't a light accident. He hit her with enough force that she stumbled forward and dropped her purse. Her belongings scattered across the floor. Wallet, keys, phone, receipts. The man quickly crouched down to help. His hood was up, and a mask covered most of his face. I could only see his eyes. They weren't focused on Lucy. They were scanning everything around us, watching who was watching him. His hands shook slightly as he handed her items back, holding each one just a second too long. Lucy told him sharply to just leave us alone. He stood slowly, raised his hands in a fake apology, and disappeared into the crowd. We didn't think much of it after that. Just another strange airport moment. We grabbed our luggage and headed to the car. On the drive home, everything felt normal. I even convinced Lucy to stop for late-night pizza before we went home. We pulled into our driveway around 12:40 a.m. The street was quiet. The porch light was still on. Lucy reached into her purse for her keys and froze. She emptied everything onto the seat. No keys. Her face slowly drained of color. That's when we both remembered the moment at baggage claim. Lucy assumed the keys had fallen when the man bumped into her. She told me to run next door and get the spare set from our neighbor. I did. Within minutes, we were unlocking the front door with the backup key. The house was dark and quiet. Nothing seemed wrong. No broken windows, no forced entry, just silence. I went to my room to change, planning to shower and sleep. Lucy headed upstairs, and then I heard it. A sharp scream, a heavy thud. My body froze before my brain understood what was happening. Lucy's voice echoed down the staircase, telling me to get out, telling me someone was inside. Lucy came running down the stairs, her face pale with fear. Behind her, at the top of the staircase, stood the man in the blue hoodie. The same height, the same build. He was holding a crowbar loosely at his side, almost casually. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't rushing. He looked calm. That calmness was worse than anger. He spoke softly as he walked down step by step. He said Lucy had dropped her wallet and that he was just returning it. He said he found her address inside. Said he had used her key to let himself in so he could wait for us. The way he said it, like he had done us a favor, made my stomach twist. We rushed toward the front door, but before we could escape, he slammed it shut and blocked it. We ran into the guest bedroom and locked the door just as he reached it. Lucy pushed a dresser against it, while I called 911 with shaking hands. On the other side, the pounding suddenly stopped. Then came silence. We could hear him moving through the house instead, opening drawers, knocking things over, searching. When police arrived minutes later, he was gone. The house was torn apart, but he had left no fingerprints. 6 months have passed. He was never caught. And 2 weeks ago, Lucy found a note on her windshield. 4 words written in messy black ink. I still have keys. Every night now, we double-check every lock. But deep down, I know something worse than broken windows. He knows where we live. And he doesn't need to break in. You think danger looks scary. You think you'd feel it immediately. But sometimes danger hides behind kindness. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it offers a better seat so you can see the clouds. And you don't even notice the warning signs until later, when it's too close. I learned that on my very first flight, when I was 5 years old, flying to Disney World with my parents. I was so excited I could hardly sit still. The plane was huge to me at that age. Endless rows of seats. People hurrying down the aisles, flight attendants checking the cabin. My dad sat on the aisle, I was in the middle, and a woman I didn't know had the window seat. I wanted to see outside, but couldn't. I pressed my face against the small window and squirmed. But it didn't help. A window seat free back here. Why don't a window seat free back here? Why don't you come sit there? You'll see the clouds better. My parents looked at each other. My mum smiled politely. My dad hesitated, then nodded. And I, 5 years old, just wanted to see the sky. So I eagerly moved. At first, everything felt normal. I could see the clouds stretching endlessly. The world below looked tiny, magical. I pressed my face to the window, mesmerized. But soon he started talking. His questions began casually. My name, where I lived, where we were staying. It seemed polite at first, harmless even. Gradually, the questions became more persistent. He asked about our hotel, what city we were from, even what school I went to. I felt confused and uneasy, though I couldn't explain why. His tone was still friendly, still smiling, but there was something off. I started giving very short answers, trying to focus on the view outside instead. I tried ignoring him, pretending I was absorbed in the clouds, but he leaned closer and repeated questions, softly, almost insistently. My stomach turned. I wanted him to stop, but I didn't know how to make him. I felt small, trapped between wanting to be polite and wanting him to leave me alone. Finally, I spoke up louder. "Can you stop talking? I just want to look outside." My mum immediately turned around and asked what was wrong. I told her he wouldn't stop asking questions. She frowned and looked at the man. He straightened instantly, raising his hand slightly, acting surprised, innocent. "I was just being friendly," he said. My dad stood up immediately and told me to come back to our row. I climbed over the seat, moving away from him. The moment I returned, his expression changed. He avoided eye contact for the rest of the flight, staring at a magazine instead. The tension didn't vanish, but at least I felt safe again. Later at our hotel, a news report came on TV. My parents froze. The man on screen, the same one from the plane, had been arrested at an airport after a long investigation. He had been targeting children on flights, asking questions about where they were staying, observing families. It was all part of a plan we never saw coming. I didn't understand everything at 5. But I remember the relief, the fear, and the lesson. Some people smile and appear friendly when they aren't safe. Sometimes saying no or moving away, even as a child, can be what protects you. That flight taught me to trust my instincts. Danger doesn't always look dangerous. And sometimes, a small act of caution can save a life.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you on next videos. Till then, goodbye.